Pablo, welcome to the show. Thanks for
Hello.
coming. How are you?
Good, and you? Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I appreciate you joining. This is our third run at this. But like I said, there's no real format, but the idea is really to just get to know your background. Now, I know you did a secondment here in Singapore for the
Correct.
past 18 months, is it?
18 months.
How was it?
So far? Good. Pretty good. Pretty fast as well. Yeah.
Now, what were there things that before you came to Singapore, were there things that you didn't expect when you came here?
To be honest, I hadn't been in Asia, right? Before coming to Singapore. So whatever I would be expecting was gonna be surprising for me, like everything was gonna be shocking for me.
You've never been to Asia before prior to this trip.
Correct.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, all my trips, it's true that I know almost all of Europe, for example, but Asia, never before.
And
Yeah.
why Singapore?
Well, the opportunity came. Yeah, why not? I had the chance to not to come along here, so I was coming with my wife as well. So yeah, for both of us, it was a really good opportunity. Yeah.
Did you apply for other countries, or was Singapore the only one?
No. Singapore was the opportunity, so yeah. We took it.
And I think it's because your wife got the opportunity first.
It's kind of a mix.
Both.
Yeah. Initially, I was the one that was asked in the first place, but years ago when I was back in Spain, right? If I was interested in moving to Asia, but it's true that at the time, the destination would have been Hong Kong. And at the time I said, no, I'm not interested especially because of that, right? That I haven't been to Asia. So I had an image, maybe, different image compared, of course, to what I know now. Yeah.
But you did visit Hong Kong, right?
No, but not before. No.
Oh no! Even during this whole trip here, you never.
Oh,
had a
yeah.
chance.
During this trip, yeah. During these 18 months, I have traveled a lot around.
Did you find Hong Kong okay?
I like it, but for sure, I prefer Singapore. I find Singapore much more convenient, for example. Yeah. I prefer living in Singapore, to be honest.
I think the lifestyle is a little different. I feel like Hong Kong's a lot faster, even more crowded.
That's what I felt. Yeah. And actually, I mean, everyone talks Hong Kong, of course, is wonderful, a good place, great place for business, full of expats as well. But I don't know. I had like a different vibe, and I don't know. Even I remember like silly things, right? But taking a taxi, asking for a grab there, the taxi drivers were speaking Chinese. They were not able to speak in English. That was for me surprising, no? Because I was, this guy is 40, 50 years old. And I was thinking like, well, you were born officially under the UK. I thought you would be much better English speaker than me. And suddenly you are not able to speak a single word of English, That was surprising.
No, even the current generation, I think, if anything, I feel like some of them, the English is getting worse to a certain extent. It's not like here where it's truly bilingual.
Yeah, correct.
Over there, like if you go, Cantonese is kind of, Cantonese and Mandarin now would be the two preferred. I feel like English now has slid to like, obviously it depends on what industry and which school you went to. A lot of the friends that we have here go to private schools there. So
yeah.
Then you have, a little mix of everything, but you're right. I think the language here makes a huge difference for someone like you that's completely not used to it. I think it's a lot easier to adapt.
Exactly. And I mean, when I was there in Hong Kong, I found it interesting, right? Because also what I heard is that, when Hong Kong was, let's say, returned from the UK to China, I think there's like a special agreement, like they need to respect for 40, 50 years, if I'm not mistaken. Right. They need to respect the previous law, let's say, the kind of democracy that maybe they were having there. And I assume that also the English as a main language, right? Or the English culture. But what I heard from many people is that actually, let's say the process of making Hong Kong 100% part of China, let's say, okay, it's going on faster and faster, right? So I think that's also influencing, a little bit all the stuff there. Yeah.
It definitely is. My parent, I don't know if I told you, my dad's from Hong Kong, and like you can tell, like him growing up there, migrating to Canada, like when he was young, you would think that he would have assimilated to like Western culture, but no, like actually, if you speak to a lot of the boomers, I guess that's the generation. And maybe not to the same extent our generation, but definitely our parents' generation.
Yeah,
they're very pro-China. They are. I don't even know that Hong Kong went through the whole protest in 2019.
Yes.
The yellow umbrella are the people that are the I guess, the freedom, democracy, pro-democracy people.
Yes.
And then you had the blue umbrella, which are the people that are like pro-government,
I see.
pro-China government, rather.
Okay.
And my entire family, again, the Hong Kong side of my family, migrated to Canada looking for a better opportunity. This is when the handover was happening.
Yeah.
You would think there'll be more pro-West because they, quote unquote, escaped Hong Kong because they were not happy with the handover, perhaps. But no, they're actually very team blue. They're actually against all the kids right now that are on the street saying you don't know anything. And it still surprises me to this day. I'm like, what? I ask my dad all the time, why are you so fussed about it? You're not moving. You haven't moved back to Asia. I've been here for almost a decade and you never. And he always said, like, you don't know what it was like growing up there. Like they got bullied.
Okay.
There were parts of Hong Kong where they were not allowed to go.
I see.
You know the LKF area where all the bars are? Yeah, there was a certain area where they were not allowed to go further up the hill.
Okay.
If you remember, it's called Soho.
Yes.
And there was an extent where it's like, nope, only for like
British
people. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So there was a lot of like what I call true racism.
Yeah.
And for whatever, they'll never be able to kind of let that go. But it was still not a good situation. That's why they migrated for economic purposes.
Yeah.
But politically and emotionally, they're Chinese. So
yeah.
it's a strange time. And I always tell the Singaporeans, they don't have the same.
I don't think so.
Style.
No.
They're very patriotic here.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
They're one of the most proud people. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yes.
I think they have a good setup. I think everything's working pretty well here.
Yeah.
But if you I know you haven't started a family yet, but would you still choose? You're from Madrid.
Well, actually, I'm living in Madrid, or I was living in Madrid. I'm coming back there soon, but I'm from the north of Spain, a small city in the north coast called Gijón.
And are your family still there?
Yes, my parents are still there. My oldest brother, he's still living in the region. My middle brother, he's in Madrid as well, like me. Yeah. In Spain nowadays, I mean, for a few years, if you want to find a good job, especially, in the world of finance, law, and so on, you really need to go to Madrid, of course, as the capital city, or Barcelona, okay? But I would say Madrid is better nowadays, for business, finding a job. Yeah.
So now you're moving back in a couple of weeks. Is Madrid going to be long-term now?
Yes. Maybe lifetime, who knows?
It's a good place to have a family and retire.
Yes, I would say, retirement, when the moment will come, I would prefer maybe to try to, go back to my home region, have a more relaxing life, let's say. But until that moment comes, of course, Madrid is probably the place to be, let's say, for me. Yeah.
And would you say that most of your colleagues back in Madrid, all your peers there, would you say people were like generally pretty content with living there? Because I know I've been talking to a lot of our British or UK.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit mixed right now in terms of like, do you see yourself staying long term? Oh no, cost of living. It's really hard to save up for a home. And then amongst other issues right now.
But you mean for the British, talking
like
about the UK or Singapore?
UK specifically.
Okay.
People are more divided in terms of livability.
Yes.
Do you think most of your peers in Spain are quite happy with the way things are? And
I can understand maybe the British colleagues, for example, because probably we are talking about London, right? Or in most cases, it's about living in London.
People that you and I work with.
Exactly. And London, at the end, London is a city that if you put all the different parts of London together, we are talking about maybe, 15, 20 million people, I guess, something like that. No, it's like the whole UK is settled down in London, and then you have like the periphery, right? With the other countries, Scotland, Wales, and so on. Madrid is much smaller. Madrid, I would say, is much more convenient city. You can make your life, let's say, in your own neighborhood. You will be well connected by metro, underground, by bus, etc., by car, of course, if you are driving. But I would say Madrid is easier. It's an easier city to live. And what happens also is that many people in Madrid, what you can find is the less people you find is people from Madrid, I would say. Like people that actually we have a Spanish way of calling them like gatos. We call them gatos, like cats. They like to be called like that when they are like a person from Madrid for the third, fourth generation, like a real Madrid person. Correct. Yeah. It's very weird. All of us, or the majority of us, we are actually from other parts of Spain or other countries, actually. Yeah.
Well, where I'm from, Toronto, it's the same thing. I think that it's one of the highest percentage. Don't quote me. I think it's like 40-50% of the city is not from Toronto.
Yeah.
But what's amazing in Canada, it goes another step further. They're not even from Canada.
Yeah.
So they're from overseas. So we can definitely, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
But how about going back to your stay here?
Yeah.
What didn't you like?
Didn't.
Yeah. What was?
Well, I mean,
maybe some cultural changes, maybe things that were a little bit harder for you to adapt to at the beginning.
I mean, maybe it's a dummy thing to mention, right? But of course, the first thing is the weather. The weather was, I mean, probably the biggest difference compared to Europe, at least, is the weather, right? Like no seasons at all, 30 to 32, 33, 34 degrees every single day, the humidity and so on. Okay, it's something that you get used to live with, but still I can tell you that after 18 months, even if the place I'm staying here, the apartment, right, that I am renting, is only 10 to 15 minutes walking from the office, I can tell you that for the last few months, I've been taking the bus, like a 25, 30 seconds trip by bus, because I cannot stay more than 4 or 5 minutes outdoors. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And for anyone listening, they need to know our office is probably 200 meters away.
Correct.
Most.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hot. But do you spend a lot of time outdoor in general? Like back in Spain, like
yes.
Do you guys typically enjoy? What do you like to go to the park? Do you like to go like just walking
For
around?
us, I would say like Spanish people, it's true that, and probably it's because of our culture, because of our, I don't know, lifestyle, the weather as well, and so on. We really like to be outdoors. It's like, I mean, of course you have your moments to stay at home, you are tired, you want to relax, whatever. Yeah. But especially during the weekends, for example, it's a weekend is not a proper weekend if you haven't gone to, I don't know, to have a beer with some friends, to go to a restaurant with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, right? To spend some time outdoors, no? So it can be just going for a regular walk around your neighborhood, going to any place, I don't know, in Madrid, for example, that you want to visit, going to watch a football game. But especially so that we really like a lot to, to hang out with friends. And it is not something that maybe you say, oh, yeah, we are meeting at noon, but at 2 p.m., I don't know, I have lunch or I have to go to another place. No, you meet at noon or 1 p.m. that can last for the whole afternoon, the whole evening, maybe even you connect it with dinner. We are kind of that lifestyle, right? And
that's one thing I always say. But I'll give Singapore some credit for one thing, which is I call it the walkability factor.
Yeah,
I do enjoy walking outside in terms of there's actually things to look at. Now, nothing compared to Europe. I feel like there's still the ability to just wander, I say.
Different.
But compared to the rest of Southeast Asia, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, you've been to Kuala Lumpur and KL.
Yes.
It's not like you walk around there, right? Most people drive. And even like if you look at Thailand and all those places, you don't generally walk around outside.
Correct. Yeah.
So minus the weather, it's a bit hot.
Yeah.
But if you're able to handle the humidity, I will give a credit. Like people do walk, whereas in a lot of other countries, Toronto included, we drive.
Okay.
Mainly because of the winter, but also the way they design the city is not very walkable. There's not that many attractions. Like there's just not as many. Things are not just tightly close together.
I don't know
how to describe it properly.
But when you were saying that, I would argue a little bit that what you were saying, right? Because that's a funny story, right? But maybe my second day here, I was staying in a hotel, right? So more or less Tanjong Pagar. Hotel Tanjong Pagar. So I think it was maybe my first evening here in Singapore. So I wanted to go to Marina Bay, right? I wanted to take a picture with the Merlion, with the MBS and so on. And I didn't have network with my phone. Well, I mean, everything was a mess, right? So I remember, I guess, a couple of ladies in the street, no? Like, oh, sorry, how can I get to Marina Bay, MBS and so on? Oh, yeah, go that distance. How far is it? Maybe 10, 15 minutes walking. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, only perfect. Like I'm used to walk, I don't know, every day in Madrid to the office, 20, 25 minutes. And for me, it's like super good, like perfect. And I told them like, yeah, perfect. That's super close. And they were like, what? Are you going to go by walk? I was like, yes. They were like, no way, no, here in Singapore, I mean, that's too much. This is too hot, and so on. I remember it was like maybe 5-6 p.m. in the evening, so it wasn't like the hottest moment of the day, right? But I was surprised.
Even they don't enjoy it. Yeah,
correct.
They'll take the public transit.
Correct. Yeah.
Or they'll stay inside a shopping mall. I guess the average local. No, it's true. I mean, the heat still is.
Yeah.
But
but it's normal. I cannot complain because I mean I live in Southeast Asia, right? It is
exactly. We kind of sign up for it. But my point there was like I think the locals have adapted. I don't think I mean, you're right. I think they'll still choose public transit, but I do think that when you grew up here, it's less of a burden. I feel like you do kind of just like when you ask someone here in Southeast Asia, would you ever move to Canada? Where they're like right away, they're like, no, never. I wouldn't even think about it. Like to them, it's for us, me, and I say this with complete honesty. I don't mind the cold.
Now
maybe I don't like January, December, but for the most part, the other parts, the fall and the spring is what I miss the most. That's when I spend a lot of time outdoors.
Yes.
Yeah, it rains a lot in the spring for sure, but I still spend way more time outdoors. And that's how I kind of measure, never mind how close everything is. Just if you add it all up, just you think about how much time you spend outdoors. I spend way more time outdoors in Canada year round.
Yeah.
Minus a couple of winter moments where it gets a little bit brutal out there. But even after a snowstorm, you're like, okay, well, I have my winter activities. There's other things to do, right?
Yes.
But do you think that there's a common, I guess, complaint by a lot of people that Singapore could be more fun? I'm not going to use the word boring, but do you think it lacks certain lifestyle things and and I guess the question is, how do we change that?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, and it's true. And I heard that from many people actually, and especially people that have been living here for 1 year plus.
It's so on. Let me caveat by saying it's a small country, so it's not like they could go to on the weekend, drive out 3 hours, and go camping with their kids. Like it's you could go to Malaysia, but then it's a different thing, right? So it's just not that easy for them to venture.
Correct. I mean, it is not maybe like Canada, Spain, Europe, the US, and so on, right? That Friday afternoon, Friday evening, you take your car, you start driving.
Or you take a train
in a few hours.
Guys,
right? Correct. Or in Europe, especially the train. Yeah, you're right. But here, I would say that yes, it's not easy, and I had that experience, right? That with a few friends, we were driving to Johor, to JB in the border, and it's true that it's surprising, right? Because I mean, you have a look to the map, and it's like, oh yes, it's the city right next to Singapore, but it takes hours to get there. 1 hour driving within Singapore to get to the border. If you are getting or going there by car, maybe you spend hours in the border, in the country, in the checks and so on. If you maybe are taking there a train or a bus, still you will need to go through all the passport checks, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, how close this city is to Singapore, how many hours do I need to spend, to get there? But a good thing to finish, right, that I have, is like, maybe they can do that. They cannot do that as we are used to in Canada, in Spain, in Europe. But I mean, they can just take a plane and they are a few hours away of Bali, KL, Hong Kong, Philippines, etc. Right? So
it's true. And I used to say, like, although it is not cheap to fly, imagine you had a family of 4.
Yeah.
Like a plane ticket is still a plane ticket.
Yeah.
But I'm reflecting on it. I'm like, even in Europe, when we did a couple like weekend trips and getaways, like once you get to the destination, you're still spending a lot of money. Whereas here, you do save from the hotels, the food and everything. So minus the $300, $200 ticket, sometimes even cheaper.
Yes.
I think it all kind of balances out. I would still argue that flying is not as convenient. So I don't think if I had a family of like 2 kids, for example,
That's true.
I think I would go. Whereas in Europe, I think it would be much easier to just take a train somewhere for a weekend.
Yes.
Logistically.
I agree. And you're right that maybe, I don't know, the shortest flight that I can think about now maybe is, I don't know, KL. KL is what, 50 minutes, 1 hour?
You show up to the airport in KL a little bit. So you add it all up.
Yeah.
If you weekend trip is...
If you put all the different things that you need to go through for that flight from Singapore to KL, it's true that at the end you spend 3, 4, 5 hours. And as you said, going with kids and so on in a plane is not the same. Yeah.
How about economically? Do you think Spain, for your career, in your specific domain, Do you think your career is better in Spain? Obviously, you grew up there, so obviously you have an advantage. But take away your language and just purely looking at economics, like where is better for your career?
I mean, I think economically, Singapore is better. I mean, like salaries are much higher than Spain and probably than most of the countries in Europe. Taxes is a big difference. I mean, only the difference between the taxes you pay in Europe and the taxes you pay in Singapore is like a salary rate itself, right? So I would say economically, it really helps coming here. I mean, it's super good for your economic wealth, I would say, if you have the chance. Of course, the life here is expensive. The rents are super high. But still, it's what you said, right? Like, if you are able to balance a little bit, what you were saying, right? If you stay in Singapore for a weekend, of course, you can do plenty of things, but you are going to spend money. If you have the chance, and especially when you're a foreigner, you're an expat, that's what you should try to be doing, right? Even short weekend trips is what you said. Maybe you pay X money, X dollars for the flight ticket, but the weekend, the 2-3 days that you're going to spend in Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, whatever, right? You're going to save money. You're going to really save money. But even saying that, or having said that, Singapore for me, and that was one of the things that was shocking me the most, right? Like, okay, expensive, but good quality of life, high salaries, but still you can go for lunch for $8. Much cheaper than regular lunch set menu that you will find in Madrid, for example. You will always be paying nowadays 14, 15, 16 euros. And still here you can have a nice dish of Chinese food, Indonesian food, Western food, whatever you like, and super cheap, right? So I think that's super curious for me. And actually what I heard from the Singaporean people, right? Like they were complaining, the people I know, they are still complaining like, but this used to be $4 3 years ago or 5 years ago. So it's like, you were really paying $3-4 for a whole dish of, I don't know, chicken rice, whatever. And you're still complaining because, okay, now it's 6-7. You should go to other places, right? Yeah.
And they live in HDBs. So they have access to public housing in ways that, like, I don't think you, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you know anyone that lives in Spain that lives in public housing, do you?
No. Not common.
For us, like, we have it. In Toronto, it's actually everywhere. But to qualify for it, you need to have a salary that's below what they call like the welfare.
Yes.
It's a threshold of like 1,000 a month or something a lot lower. So it's just hard to qualify. Whereas here, it's normal. I'm sure you know. It's not shameful or embarrassing to say you live in an HDB. In fact, a lot of our friends deck it out. Like they renovate it really nicely. It becomes very modern.
Yeah.
Do you think like a country like Spain could ever make HDBs a normal
I mean, of course we have them. We have them, and it's not something that is from this 21st century. I mean, we have been building that kind of, houses and buildings for people with not so many resources for 70, 80 years. But it's what you said. Maybe it's not so common, or still maybe, I wouldn't say people would have prejudice like, oh, I need to apply for this. But I think the problem is also that, many countries, especially when compared to Singapore, we are not so efficient, So something that looks like a good idea, and maybe you hear from the government that, we are going to buy 1 million of these houses, for example, within the next 5 years. They end up building 0 or 1,000 instead of 1 million, So
it's the same. It's the same in Toronto. The one thing I don't understand, and maybe it's the same thing in Spain, but why don't they just charge people for it? Because I don't think it's free, but it's in Canada. It's going to be really cheap. Again, it's for people that probably make like 1,000 or less.
Yeah.
Or maybe more, but still, the threshold is very low, and so I guess it's hard to charge people for it. But why not also have another program, a separate one where you charge people? By the way, now that the new ones, I don't know if you know, but they're like over $500,000.
Okay. Here in Singapore.
Yeah. Like a 4-room they call it, which is a 3-bedroom.
Yes.
Could be like $600K.
Yeah.
That's the part I never understood is why doesn't the West consider just selling it? And by the way, for $600K, I'm sure you can still make a profit.
Yeah.
Again, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure. One thing that if there's anything that comes out of this podcast is spreading the message to my friends back home that, giving people different perspectives, but also policies. I don't understand why we don't ever bring up HDBs. And now I think people are starting to learn more and more about Singapore. But let me ask you about Spain. Do your friends in Spain know anything about Singapore?
I don't think so.
The people that you grew up with, yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, we know about the existence of Singapore, of course.
But they don't know HDBs. They don't know all these rules, right?
No. I would say that 90% of us probably, I mean, unless you come here, Singapore exists, of course. Singapore is a rich country. It has grown a lot for the last 20, 30, 35 years, okay? We are aware of that, okay? We know that we need to go through Singapore or to, stop by in Singapore if you want to fly to Thailand, if you want to fly to Malaysia, Philippines, and so on. But no, I would say that we live in the ignorance, I would say, about Singapore's politics, foreign relationships, or foreign affairs, etc., etc.
Well, I think that goes both ways. I think if you ask the average person in Asia what they know about Spain,
Mexico,
not from a vacation perspective. I'm sure a lot of people have done Europe for vacation, but I meant like how your politics works, what the cost of living, what your education system is like, what the laws are like, what's unique about the legal system, for example. They want to be able to share.
No, of course,
that your whole Catalan and all the protests that happened a few years ago.
Of course. And I think, that's really normal, and especially because, okay, Singapore is on the other side of the world, right? And it's Asia, Southeast Asia in this case, Spain or other European countries. Okay, it's very far away. But actually, the heritage of Singapore is also related to the UK, right? So, of course, if they need to pay attention to anything happening in Europe, first focus point is going to be UK, right? And I can tell you that UK is completely different to Spain and even to the mainland European countries, okay? When you compare politics, when you compare how UK has been dealing and, the relationship with the European Union, with France, Germany, Spain, Italy, etc., it's super different, right? So it's something that I completely understand. It's funny, right? And it happened to me that still you meet people that, I was making the joke just 1 minute ago about like Mexico. It is not that common stereotype, for example, that for the Americans, right? And all my respect to the Americans from the US, but they still may think like Mexico, Spain is more or less the same. Who came before? The Spanish to America, the Mexicans to Europe. So they're still a little bit confused. But jokes aside, it happened to me like Singaporean people that still is like, oh, I went to a Spanish restaurant the other day. What did you have for dinner? Or tacos, nachos, and so it's like, that's Mexican food actually. Like, but Mexican and Spanish, what's the difference? So, or even that they get surprised, like, but the language that is spoken in most of these South America, Central America countries is Spanish. You call it Spanish or you call it Mexican, Argentinian, Peruvian, and so it's like, yes, it's Spanish because of the history, blah, blah, we were there and so on. So it's funny and it has been, but at the end it has been also for me quite great to have the chance to share a bit about our Spanish history, Spanish culture with the people here. Yeah. So probably they are more aware now.
And I think that's the positive side of for our firm, and for the people that don't know, we actually work in the same company. I think it's good to have these programs, because otherwise I do think the Singaporean, the locals, they don't get the same exposure, and the implication of that is that they don't know, I always say, they don't know what else is there to compare to, really, in all aspects of life, whether it's your living situation, your education system. I think it's completely different. And there's no, I always say, there's always explain to people, there's no perfect system. But I felt like by not having an outside perspective, you're limiting yourself in terms of what, even ability to think outside the box, be a little bit more creative. No matter what industry, it benefits a lot. Again, traveling is one thing. Being able to tell me what you did for vacation in Spain, that's one thing. But what you brought to hopefully a lot of the people here was a different angle. So now that as they see something, now again, there's not much to complain about policy wise. But I do think that, and I bring this up on occasion, is that there are things that we can still improve.
Of course.
Singapore is not a perfect place. And that's why one of the questions I ask, I know it's a difficult question. And we don't want to, we don't want to insult anybody here.
No, of course.
But it's not the easiest place to live as well, right? So I think the working culture is a little bit tougher. I don't know if you agree, but it's a little bit, people, they work harder. They really do.
Yeah. I mean, I can see difference in the working style, but I think it's something, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I will explain it in the right way, and especially for the Singaporean people listening to us maybe in the future. But I see that, as you said, right? Like, it's a country very proud of itself. I mean, what they have achieved is huge, right? Where they were in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, where they are now, right? And I think that also has somehow influenced the people from here. That's the feeling or the image I have. Like, they are proud of themselves, which is great, of course. They know they have received a very good education, high quality education, good universities, good high schools, etc., etc. And I feel like this is something that naturally they demand in the workplace. I'm not saying it's that in Europe, for example, or in Spain, we are not demanding that. But I would say that I feel like here in Singapore, you are asked or you are requested to, deliver or bring added value, let's call it that way, since the very first day. Yeah. That's the image I have, no? And maybe in my sector, right, it's something I have faced. Like, the expectations can be super high, which is good. It's demanding. It makes you learn faster. It's challenging for you. But sometimes when you want immediate results, or you want, the first sentence that is going to come from your mouth is going to solve my problem, or you are going to really change my perspective about the issue I'm having, that puts a pressure on you that if you are not able to meet, that can lead to, and this is something I'm sorry to keep talking, but this is something I learned also, and I'm super lucky that I've been working with Singaporean people, of course, with people from other countries around, but that have spent already a while in Singapore, and I learned a lot from them, right? And one thing that they were telling me always was like, in Singapore is very important the first impression, and the first impression, a client, a fellow colleague, someone that you meet, and so on, gets from you or gets about you, it's really hard to change. It's really hard. So if they think you're funny, that's cool. You're funny. You will be the funniest guy always. If they feel like, for example, oh, this guy looks lost in this conversation, or you are not able to, answer this question I was asking, and so on, since the very first moment, they will be looking at you like, try to gain my confidence again. And it's hard. It's really hard. And I feel like the human relationships, let's say, especially maybe in Spain, but due to our character, much different, I would say. Yeah.
But Pablo, I can't say thank you much. I can't say thank you enough.
Thank you.
I know we're cut short here, but I hope you have a safe journey back.
Thank you very much.
I think we're going to probably connect over work still, but it was an absolute pleasure to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wish you the best luck.